Hello, everybody, and welcome to my first episode of Halo Lore Firearms. In this series, we will be examining weapons in Halo and discussing some of their features, ammunition, as well as their real life counterparts. I will also be discussing in some detail what makes sense and what doesn't make sense about these weapons. This is a little bit of a departure from my usual content on this channel, but I have always enjoyed firearms and their history and some of their mechanics, and have always been a huge Halo fan. So now on to the topic at hand. We will be discussing the 9.5 by 40mm KURZ round utilized by the battle rifle throughout the Halo series. So, for those of you who remember, the battle rifle made its first in-game appearance with Halo 2. It took the place of the MA5B assault rifle from Halo C, kind of taking over the new primary weapon of the UNSC. In the expanded universe, it was notably held by Sergeant Johnson on the cover of Halo Contact Harvest and can be seen used throughout that novel, which takes place at the first encounter with Covenant forces on Harvest in 2525. It was being utilized as an experimental weapon there, but in 2558 it finally dropped its experimental designation. So, the battle rifle's name is a bit misleading due to a few factors. These are because of the round it fires, its 3-round burst capability, and its relatively smaller stature than the assault rifle. So now on to about the cartridge it fires. As mentioned previously, the battle rifle utilizes a 9.5 by 40mm KURZ, or otherwise known as short round. This was designed specifically for the battle rifle and its later iterations, the BR55, the BR55HB, and the BR85. Its bullet is a hollow point semi-armor piercing bullet, which is very interesting to both have a capability of being hollow point, which is better for, in plain words, flesh damage due to the expansion characteristics, and also being semi-armor piercing, which is a cool little feature that it gives too. It utilizes a special propellant that allows it to have a much higher muzzle velocity speeds than the regular 7.62 by 51mm round for the assault rifle. There's no details on what type of propellant it uses, but it's interesting. This round is fully fictional, which is interesting as well, because typically many video game designers will try and pull regular rounds that exist in real life into the game so that they don't have to design a completely new round and then have to explain it in technical terms, because people, especially in Halo and sci-fi, like to know the nitty-gritty details of everything. But the 9.5 by 40mm does share some common traits with a cartridge that is already in existence, and this is the Soviet-designed 9 by 39mm cartridge. So the Soviets designed this starting dating back into the 1940s, but it was finally completed in the mid-1980s. The round was focused on being a subsonic round that could be fired out of integrally suppressed firearms, but also have very good armor-piercing capabilities. This round was designed to be utilized by special forces, and was designed around the concept that body armor was becoming more and more regularly utilized by Western nations. So they wanted their special forces units to be able to stealthily take out enemy infantry that had body armor, because body armor back then, it wasn't as great as it is now. Typically the body armor back then would only be rated for handgun rounds, but now body armor now can be rated up to full-size rifle cartridges, which 9x39 still does a good job at penetrating. So with this, there are a couple caveats with the 9.5 by 40mm round. So the battle rifle's 9x5 by 40mm round is supersonic, so it's not designed to be utilized with a suppressed weapon like the 9x39 is, but it does share that armor-piercing capability, albeit with the BR's round, it's semi-armor piercing, so it's not fully rated for it. And the 9x39 rounds have special tungsten penetrators designed for it. So in terms of semi-armor piercing, that typically means that it'll have some sort of hardened penetrator inside of it, but it's not going to be the main focus of that. So with the 9x39 round, the Soviets and Russians have designed special tungsten penetrators, steel penetrators, stuff like that, that is designed to zip through body armor pretty easily. Meanwhile, the battle rifles round, again, we don't know all the details of it, but we can make a pretty educated guess that it does contain some sort of steel or tungsten penetrator, or possibly some other hardened metal that allows it to be better at piercing body armor. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the battle rifle's designation doesn't make too much sense, and that's due to its cartridge. So, as we discussed a little bit in detail here, the battle rifle does utilize a unique cartridge. It's a short round with a high velocity, but it's more of a niche round and a very specialized round. So, a battle rifle is typically a military firearm that's firing full-size rifle cartridges like the assault rifle's 7.62 by 51 millimeter round, or the Russian 7.62 by 54 rimmed. In addition, battle rifles are typically designed to be utilized semi-automatic than full automatic because the recoil is too much when you fire full automatic. But most battle rifles that have been used or are still in use do have a selector switch to go to fully automatic. So some of these rifles would be the American M14, the Belgian FAL, and the German G3. These do offer full auto modes, but most of the time they are designed and trained to be utilized in semi-automatic mode due to higher accuracy. That's really the same with any modern service rifle at this point, but the option is still there. In addition, they're typically only utilized with 15-20 round magazines because of how heavy and cumbersome all those rounds are. It adds up, and in modern warfare, you really want to have a light warfighter or soldier. But many of them do have 30 round magazines that you can get for them or have been issued. The battle rifle, on the other hand, is designed for 3-round burst firing, and in lore it does have a single shot capability. We haven't seen that in games just yet, but it's a interesting point to talk about. In addition, the cartridge it uses, like I mentioned earlier, is not a full-size rifle cartridge, but somewhere between that intermediate cartridge, which would be 5.56 by 45 millimeter NATO, or 5.45 by 39, I believe, the Russian equivalent 5.56, and a full-size cartridge. So it's not really the full-size cartridge, but it's not an intermediate cartridge. I guess it could be an intermediate cartridge, but it's just very odd. This could be put probably into the category of the U.S. Army's next-gen service weapons cartridge, which is a 6.8 by 51 millimeter round. It's a completely new round that they've been developing for many times, and I think it kind of fits into the role the battle rifle is trying to get, because the round is designed to mimic the capabilities of a full-size rifle cartridge, body armor, penetration, range, muzzle velocity, and stuff like that, but be as light as a regular intermediate cartridge. So I think that's where the battle rifle's round kind of suits into. But because of that, it doesn't really meet what a battle rifle would be. I think the battle rifle would really be more of an assault rifle, honestly. And in terms of that, what could take the battle rifle's place in name would be the DMR. The DMR is more suited to be an actual battle rifle than the battle rifle itself is. The DMR itself is what most people would think of if you show them a picture between the two and ask them which one's an assault rifle and which one's a battle rifle. Most people will probably pick the DMR as being the battle rifle rather than the battle rifle itself. So, despite all this, the battle rifle does fill an interesting niche and role in the lore of Halo and the games as well. In the lore, it has been an experimental weapon, but it's a very commonly issued experimental weapon. And then in the games itself, of course, most people, if the battle rifle is available, they're going to pick over the assault rifle because the battle rifle does do a lot more damage, has better characteristics, recoil, and all that, and handling than the assault rifle in Halo. So that is it for my little discussion about the battle rifle and its unique cartridge and where it slots in the real world. So if you guys would like me to do more of these videos, let me know down in the comments or something. Now, of course, I'm always open to suggestions on what to do better or what to talk about. So go ahead, leave me comments and whatnot, and just if you'd like to see me discuss a specific round or talk about similarities between a specific firearm in the Halo lore, let me know, and I'd love to do it. So thank you all again for tuning in, and I hope you all have a good one. Thank you for watching, and also I will be streaming Halo Reach Lassoed throughout most of the day, so if you want to come and join and watch me go through the pain that is Halo Reach Lasso on solo, there is a link to my Twitch account in the description, and I should hyperlink it in the video as well, so check that out if you want to watch me do that. I am currently on Exodus and going through it pretty quickly with some hiccups, and I just finished Halo 2 Lasso, and I'm going to make a couple of videos about that in the coming days.